Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the New Year Best You Dream Big Summit. I'm Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. I just say Elizabeth because my name's so long. Anyway, hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. You're sticking it out all the way to day 3. I have Wayne Connell with me. Hi, Wayne. How are you? Thank you.
It's good. I know you didn't ask me this, and I should have told you. It's pronounced Connell, just like you.
Oh,
I
you know what?
probably
I
couldn't
knew
even
I
pronounce. That's okay. I couldn't pronounce it in your name. I'm sure.
Canal. Okay, sorry. You know
That's
what?
okay.
I have heard your name pronounced different ways, and I'm like, I meant to ask you. I've got it written down to ask you. Okay, Canal. Sorry.
No
I did
problem.
that. That's the Midwest. That's the Iowa Midwest in me. I am a name destroyer. So anyway, mwah, hi. How are you?
Thank you. Great to be
Oh,
here.
yeah. All right, we got an I love you already. We love you too. Thank you for being with us. I've got a superhero cape on. I'll tell you why. Because I think these moments call for superhero capes. You know, when we've got you founded Invisible Disabilities Association. Those are disabilities you might not see with people and so forth, and all of it calls for superhero capes. So I know with my dad, you guys know my dad was a stroke survivor from 2004 to 2018. I had a lot of cape moments here.
Mm,
So we're keeping it on. I appreciate I asked you, is it okay? And you said yes. So it's on and
please.
let's go. Let's talk about all these folks with all these things that you can't see happening around us. Your word for the year is core or care. Sorry, I'm going to just mess up all over the place here. Your word for the year
That's
is
okay.
care. It's okay.
This
We're
is live,
surrounded by
right?
love and it's live, so there's no editing going on at all. Care. Why'd you pick that word?
Well, care in motion is actually our theme for the year this year. Last year, our theme was time to believe, right? It was really a time, think about going through COVID and all these things, all the things you couldn't see, anxiety, fear, COVID itself. And it was time to believe, start believing people. Well, this year, we're moving that to care in motion, which is about listening, believing, and supporting, right? It's those
Mm.
three things. Take time to listen to people, believe what they say, and then support them when needed, because the believing and listening may be all the support they need, right? It's up to them to determine what that need is. So that's our theme this year for invisible disabilities.
I love that. We were talking to somebody yesterday, and they were talking about compassion with action. So I hear you. We've got the
Yeah,
whole
it is. It's,
thing
it's,
going
it's
on. Action.
it's care moving forward, right? And it's not care that's linear, right? It's not like you're going from here to there. It's motion. It's doing a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah, yeah, love it. All right, what's IDA?
So, Invisible Disabilities Association founded it in 1996 because of my wife. My wife in 91 was diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And
Mm.
basically, the prime of her life, at 27 years old, unable to work, unable to function anymore. And she was diagnosed with Lyme disease in 92 when we met. She coined the phrase invisible disabilities in 96 because people we'd park in accessible parking. They would scream at us, you can't park there. You're not 90 years old. You're not in a wheelchair, these things. And so we took some of her writings, and one of them was a pamphlet on accessible parking. And I love the last line in the pamphlet. It says, the person you're graciously trying to defend may be standing in front of you,
Mm.
because we're thinking, oh, they shouldn't be standing. They should be in a wheelchair, those things. So we took some of those writings, we put them together, launched a website in 1997, which what's interesting is that's the year before Google came online. And we had about 20,000 people a month from around the world because people with disabilities were early adopters, right? They were trapped in their homes, and the internet became a window to the world. And then in 98, we wrote our book, But You'll Look Good. This amazing landmark book. This is our 25th anniversary this year, this book. And it's about what to say and what not to say. And that was the biggest thing people didn't understand. Their friends and family didn't believe them. And they would always say, well, I don't know what to say. And they would invariably say the wrong thing. And it's just organically grown as an organization, as a 501c3 in 2004. And here we are today, changing the world. What I like to say is changing the way the world sees disabilities.
Yeah, I love it. I wish I would have, and I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. But if somebody's just saying, I get this. I'm legally blind, but strangers think they're,
Yeah.
yeah, not. Um, I wish I would have known you. I'm glad I know you now. But I wish I would have known you when my father was so ill. It would have really helped me, and I thank Brian Esposito every day for introducing us, because now what I get to do is just champion your work forward and help you even more and more. And that's where I'll go with it, in honor of my dad, some of the things I have with myself, your wife, everybody that's got this. So
Everybody has a
yeah,
story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's got something. I'm pretty certain everybody's got something going on in the background that people aren't aware of,
right.
and if it's a disability, such as like I'll just personally share. My dad was, like I said, he was a stroke survivor from 2004 to 2018, and he was blind basically. He never drove again, those types of things, but he survived and was amazing, and he had memory and all this stuff, and he would go every Tuesday to like Best Buy or Target when the movies came out, the DVDs and new ones, and go get them. And my brother would go along, but if my brother even left him for a second and he mistakenly bumped into anybody, he's been nearly hit before, just terrible things said to him and done and everything he got, so that he would carry a card with him. And if he bumped into someone randomly, he would go, hang on, hang on, hang on, give him a card that explained it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you've got a card, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
Ah,
we actually
that's
have
so nice.
yeah, this is a national disability ID, and we'll talk a little bit more about why this logo and this symbol is so important.
Yeah.
And I really, it's a, you're right. It's just misunderstanding. And what's interesting is we all like to play the armchair doctor, is what I call it, and we all think we know what stroke is, or we all think we know what diabetes is, or we all think we know what whatever that MS. Right? People always ask me about my wife. They're like, "Well, is she in a wheelchair?" Well, MS in a wheelchair just means you don't have use of your legs. It doesn't necessarily talk about the extent of the disease, which she had primary progressive, which is MS with no good days, when she was 27. And
Wow.
she didn't have relapse remit. A lot of people have relapse remit MS. It relapses, it remits, and sometimes they never have another relapse again, which, it's just great for them. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing, right? But it's, every illness, every disease, including things like autism, they call it a spectrum for a reason, right? It's a
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah. And, I personally have food allergies, life-threatening food allergies. So when I go to a restaurant and so forth, there's a whole spiel that goes on with, and you were saying your wife has some similar food allergies as well. And it's like you got to meet with the chefs prior to eating, even at Disney. So, I get it. So that card is really important. So, what's the difference between a disability and being disabled, or an invisible disability, even like to
Yeah, so
explain
let's
all
just talk about the difference between disability. So a disability really is a symptom that it's a technical term for a reason. That it's a physical, mental, or neurological condition that is not visible from the outside. That would be the invisible part of it. Yet it can limit or challenge a person's movements, or senses, or activities. But the difference between a disability and being disabled, that's what there's a lot of confusion out there, right? And so what's happened is you may have seen the term even where people use this term disabled and they capitalize the A.
Mhm.
And the reason for that is a disability means that you have something that has an impairment, right? It could be glasses, it could be a food allergy, it could be a prosthetic, it could be whatever that is. Where you use an assistive device, which could be glasses, it could be some medicine, it could be a prosthetic, like I said earlier, it could be a crutch or a wheelchair, whatever that is. It allows you to do that thing that you couldn't do before because of a disability. It's just like somebody in a wheelchair. I'm in Colorado here. I mean, they ski, there's sled hockey, there's basketball, rugby. You can work in a wheelchair. It's not the wheelchair that necessarily limits you. I used to say you couldn't go upstairs, but now they got these like cool like track ones that go upstairs and climb mountains and all kinds of stuff, right? But it's that invisible nature that impacts you that people can't see, that chronic pain, the PTSD, the other things. But somebody who's disabled means they're unable to work. They can't do these things. And it's not like they can just snap out of it and all of a sudden do them, right? So these are where they're actually disabled. But what's happened is we've said those people, we just label everybody and we use this thing called, we just say you're disabled. Well, that's not true. The person has disability. And that's why there's this change. We really want to talk and it's a technical definition. You're not less because you have a disability. You're not less because because you're disabled. It just means you have an impairment in your life, and your value to me is just as valuable as anybody else. I like to say the most abnormal people are those who climb Mount Everest or run Ironman triathlons, right? The rest of us are normal, right? Those are not normal. Although, there are people with disabilities that do those amazing things, right?
Yeah.
So it's that's why I wanted it's a really defined definition. And what is an invisible disability? It's really those symptoms of an illness, right? It's
Mhm.
all those invisible symptoms that may be neurological, psychological. Those are different, by the way. And we try to say one's not the other. It could be anything doing with the body that you can't see, right? I like to say it's all in your head in a lot of cases, which it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you touched on something earlier, which is the parking situation. A lot of people do actually abuse that privilege, right? But when you actually do it,
I'm not so sure about right.
no, so
No, I would say that the majority of people that park there do not abuse it. Um,
oh, okay.
80% of the people that have a disability, it's invisible. 80%.
Okay.
Okay, so that means that means even people that have a disability may not use a wheelchair. They may just use a cane or something else, right?
Yeah,
So, or a walker or something. So we make these assumptions that, oh, they parked there, they don't have the right to park there. If they have a placard, we
that's what I'm
have to
saying. Like,
assume that it's real.
yeah,
That's the hard part. Is we want to say, oh, maybe it's grandma's. Well, but you got to side on caution. You can't side on guilt, right? We can't. It's a presumed innocence. You have to understand that we have no idea. And so people with invisible disabilities, they it's so horrible what they have to go through to park there. And they would rather not park there if they can help it,
yeah,
because
that
of
I
the way
agree with.
people
You're
interact with them, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
nasty notes, the accusations, all these horrible things. It's interesting because we can pull into the spot and people can give you a dirty look before you've even opened the door. And you're like, well, how do you even know that I'm not in a wheelchair? Right.
We used to have that happen to us all the time with,
Yep.
just pulling in there, like my mom, my dad, and I would get out of the car. People would like throw stuff at us, yell at us, everything. Cause I don't know if what people expect in that spot. But no, I agree with you. I was trying to say like sometimes people hang that sign up there and there are people who do that.
You did.
You've gotta agree
You just
there. People
you
do that.
can't.
That's what I was
No,
trying to say.
Elizabeth, you can't
But
tell. That's the hard part,
but you
right?
can't I agree with you though. You know what? You can't tell. You probably actually I'm gonna learn a lesson here. Yeah, you probably just
And they may be able to walk in, so they seem to walk in fine,
fine. Yeah.
but there's no way they're going to make it back,
Yeah,
right?
something.
S- So we don't know about this. In fact, what's interesting about
Mm.
most of the accessible parking spots, they weren't planned based upon the closeness necessarily to a site. They were based upon the accessibility to a curb, a cutout, those things. Sometimes they're farther away, so people with an invisible disability, it's hard for them to walk that distance.
Oh, wow, you got there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to be educated about with all of
Right.
this.
Exactly.
Um, for sure. What do you how does society view disabilities? Is it that's a big question right there. How do you yeah, I think you
Well,
answered
it
part of
is
it.
based upon, so the American Disabilities Act came out over a little bit over 30 years ago, which was a great act about accessibility. It was about, here's a place where you can park. Here's a place, a bathroom you can use. Here's a door you can use. We made accessible for people to be able to access buildings. Now, we still got a ways to go. We're still doing things for things like closed captioning. We're still doing things for visually impaired. There's a lot of accessibility things we're still working on. Uh,
Yeah.
but the symbol became this wheelchair, and the wheelchair over time became the de facto symbol for disability, just because there wasn't a disability symbol. In fact, there's all kinds of different symbols. You'll see ones for people with a white cane. You'll see them for mental health issues. You'll see all these different symbols. Well, it creates a lot of confusion because there's a bunch of different symbols. And so that's one of the things we really try to do as societies. Our symbol, our goal is for this symbol to become the symbol for disability, because it is a symbol that doesn't say wheelchair or no wheelchair. It's a symbol that may say, oh, it's a person with their arm around you. Or as you said, it's a person with their cape, right? Or somebody breaking the tape, or maybe it's an angel, right? I mean, there's a bunch of different things that people say, but it doesn't exclude anybody from the symbol. But it really is this understanding of, if we can't see it, we don't believe it, right? We already talked about the accessible
I think I just
parking.
illustrated
Um,
that. Yeah.
the person in the crosswalk, right? They're walking really slow. Why are they walking slow? They're not on their phone. They're walking really slow. We want them to hurry up. Or they're walking to their car slow, or they're driving slow in their car. So, they're in the right lane, they're driving slower. We're like, why are they going so slow? We have no idea what life is like for them, what they're going through.
Right.
And what we try to do is really at IDA we're an awareness organization. Encourage, educate, and connect. It's it's how do you get people to change a shift of mind, just to think a little bit differently, to say, maybe they do have the right to park there. Maybe they do need some help when they ask for it if they don't. Maybe that food maybe the stuff that's in the food, the butter that's made from soy, and you can't have soy. Oh, come on, it's just soy. Everybody eats soy, right? It's like the old adage of, um, well, the government wouldn't let you have anything that would kill you. Um, Wait a second, don't we have cigarettes out there? Don't we, I mean, it's not about that. It's about the person and their needs, and we need to listen to them, right? That's back to care in motion. Listen, believe them, and then support them if they need it.
Yeah, beautiful. It's almost like giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, well, you have to.
Yeah.
It's the old adage, we don't know what somebody's gone through, right? If somebody
Oh,
yells at you today, how do you know what just happened at home? I mean, maybe their kid's really sick and they had to come into work and all this stuff. We have no idea.
yeah.
It is. We've lost this as a society of this whole thing of doing right, exactly right, giving people the benefit of the doubt, using common sense, those things.
Yeah. It's kind of slowing down for other people to before you do things. So it's IDA, right? That's the way you say
That's
that?
how I pronounce it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
IDA
Okay.
or IDA.
IDA, yep. And Invisible Disabilities Association. What's the website that people can go to? Just because we didn't mention that right off the
Sure.
top.
InvisibleDisabilities.org.
Okay.
It's very, very simple. And then another great thing you can get to is IDA.TV is all of our YouTube videos, which is there's hundreds of YouTube videos on there of all kinds of people's stories and just really ways to be encouraged and understand that you're not alone, right? That's what we want you to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, I like the fact that this is educational too, because I don't think everybody's aware. I mean, you've shared some things today where it made me think, okay, I got to do a better job of that for sure. Because you do see people get out of the. I'm going back to it for a second. You see people all the time get out of their cars in the disabled section, where you're parking, and I think we think something else is supposed to be there, like a full on, wheelchair coming out of the car and the, that kind of thing, and it's just not.
Right.
And
Well,
I,
that's we talked about our book a little bit, but you look good. It's about what to say and what not to say, and what it does is it's got like 9 things that discourage you, and the 9 things that are encouraging, right? And it really kind of goes through and gives quotes and examples of things. When we use phrases like "I'm tired too," so somebody just shared the story with you, and you just disregarded their story because you said, "Well, I'm tired too." Well, what are you tired doing? Oh well, I went to work today, and then took the kids to the zoo, and then we went to the theater, and then we stayed up late and, whatever. Oh, well, you're tired because you did a bunch of things. Somebody with chronic illness or a disability, they're so exhausted a lot of times that they can't sleep even. They're
yeah,
beyond sleep, right? And we don't understand that. And so sometimes that relating is the difficult part. I, and I also think as there's a nuance of words. We're trying to teach people a new language. So instead of always asking your friend how they're feeling every time you see them, I'm sure you heard that all the time with your dad. It's like, well, how's he doing? How's he feeling? How's he feeling? You feeling okay?
is
Well,
it
if you
getting
ask him,
better? It's like, no, he's not gonna get
yeah,
better from this. Yeah.
just because he came out in public doesn't mean he's feeling better either, right? Or he
No,
came to your house, right? So, well, let's use a different phrase. Why don't we say, "How are you doing?"
yeah,
Because if you say, "How are you doing?" versus "feeling," then it gives them an opportunity to say, "I'm doing okay. I'm feeling horrible," right? Or "I'm not doing well." It's
yeah,
not based upon a feeling where you're either going to lie or they're going to lie. Nobody's going to get the right answer, right?
yeah. Talk about caregivers for a while.
Yeah. So caregiving is a really tough area. We found out first that we had to get people to believe that their person they're caring for had a disability,
Yeah,
right? That's that invisible nature. That's what we wrote the book for originally, right? People didn't even believe. So when you move into that realm where they finally understand, hey, they're caregiving, um, it's a 24/7 job, no matter what kind of job it is, right? It's always, and you're constantly having to think through everything. I think about, with my wife. I mean, we haven't been on a plane since 2008, right? But when we did that before, if you saw all the stuff we had to take when we went on a trip, it was like unbelievable amount of stuff we had to take: air purifiers and all kinds of oxygens and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I, I'm an engineer in a sense. I love technology. I call myself a technologist, and I kind of love the challenge, but I can't solve these issues all the time. But it's a constant battle of trying to make things to help the person you're caring for.
yeah, yeah. It's what do you do to take care of yourself as a caregiver? I'm gonna go on Caregiver for a little bit because I know how to. I know my
Oh my
mom.
goodness.
My mom.
Nothing. No.
Yeah,
Uh, um, I actually, I do I love reading, and I love, actually enjoying, I'm enjoying on YouTube watching these rescue guys out of Utah, man. I'm having fun. They do four-wheeling and then they go rescue people. Well, you know, one, I don't work on cars and I will never work on cars, and these guys work on cars, but I'm learning so much, and it's really just taking a break is a big part of that.
yeah,
Um, and just trying to, my wife and I love movies. You talked about your dad loving movies.
yeah.
So being, we have a, big 75-inch, and I have like the cool sound system, and the furniture moves around. We watch movies because it's so loud and enjoyable, but we can stop it, pause it, and go get some popcorn or something.
Yeah,
So just try to do those things, and take a break. But you know what, Elizabeth, I gain energy by helping other people.
yeah,
And invisible disabilities is my hobby in a sense, but it's more than that. It's what I do every weekend evening for the last 27 years. I just love helping people. I'm the web designer. I love hosting podcasts. Helping with video. We hired our first employee in 2018. Well, he's an Emmy award winning film producer. He's
beautiful.
got 8 Emmys, and he's got his own. He did a major motion picture with Emmy award winning people in it, and Academy Award winning people. And so we love doing incredible technology, and we'll have our big award ceremony come up in October, and this will be our fourth one online. So we just love, that's fun too, by the way. Put me in front of a computer and I actually love it, even though I do it all day long as a manager at Dish, and I
Yeah,
manage their telecom technology. I just love it. I love solving the problems.
yeah. Do you did I see I thought I saw you guys had an event. Was that what you're talking about, like the event
Yeah,
online?
so in October we had our big gala. This year I'm going to drop the word gala. We're going to call it an awards celebration.
Yeah,
Just because a gala isn't normally in person, but
yeah,
yeah, it is. It's we give away awards. We've given away probably over 150 awards away over the years. To a lot of incredible people who. It's funny, they'll get an award for how rough their life is, and they're like, I didn't know I could win one for being a train wreck. It's like, no, you don't win it. It's bestowed upon you. you know but it is about, but it's those stories that people can see, that they understand that, hey, it's not just me, right?
yeah. What can people do to join in your cause?
So
Join
yeah, so make
in
sure you
you.
go and check out the videos and everything. I mean, that's a big part of it, is going to ida.tv, but it's getting involved in our event coming up in the fall. But one of the things we love to do is, if you have a company or organization, we'll come in and educate your employees. We'll come in and educate your staff. We'll help you develop a disability group. All those things, because there's such a misunderstanding of disabilities out there, because we've been so focused on the wheelchair originally, right? That's what we were focused on.
Mhm.
Um, and so now we've got to think about that it's a spectrum. There's people that don't need help, who don't want help, who don't want to be your inspiration. And that's great. They've been able to do amazing things in life. They're incredible, right? And then there's other people that need help. But the problem is they run into the issue where they can't get help because people think, oh, they don't need help. They have a disability, they don't need help, right? So we need to, but it's this whole spectrum of, and so that's why, we kind of talked about this. This our symbol. What's exciting is, in Alaska, Utah, and Colorado, you can get the symbol on a driver's license now. You can actually, and they'll put it on there. There's nothing about your disability on there. It's just a way so that if law enforcement, or maybe you have a state ID, you have a child with autism. You talked about your dad having a card. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
this is
wrote
a
he
great
made it.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he would go in a store, he could put this on, and then people would just come up and say, how may I help you? They don't need to know why he needs help, or what his disability is, or what he's struggling with, but just, how may I help you? And so these you can get through our website, and you can order them anywhere in the world. They even have your picture on the back, and a emergency contact number that you can put on there. But our goal is to do this nationwide, across the nation, with all the states. We've been working on that. We've been talking to Canada. We've been talking to a couple other countries.
Beautiful.
But it really is providing a common, symbol that just says, "Hey, how may I help you?" Right?
Almost
It's
looks like information, like an eye also. Yeah, my dad used to
accurate.
yeah, is
It
it
is an
yeah,
eye. Well, it's
it's an
originally an
eye.
eye for invisible, right? That's where it
Yeah,
comes from.
Yeah.
But yeah, yes, but it's also a person, right? It's
Yep.
not a thing. Disabilities happen to people. It becomes who you are. It doesn't define you, but it is part of who you are. Just like you may have blue eyes and blonde hair or whatever that is, but you might have a disability too. And so our vision is that people would be invisible no more, that we would just treat everybody the same. Stop
Yeah.
treating people lesser because they may need a little hand up, right, on what they're working on. And
Yeah.
so provide them the hand up and let's go.
Yeah. With your card, my dad used to say, I need a T-shirt that just says, "I'm a stroke survivor. I can't see you. Sorry if I," and on the back, "Sorry if I bumped into you," kind of thing. And he's like, people wouldn't ever read it. So he would, if he bumped into somebody, he would just hand him that card, or if he
Well,
tripped.
we have a bumper sticker for the back of your car that says, if you want this parking spot, take my disability with it.
That's a good one, actually. Who wouldn't? Here. Yeah.
You
Somebody
really
just
want the spot, right? I mean,
really want
live
it.
by, yeah.
There it is. Yeah. Somebody just typed in that they have their IDA card, their IDA ID card. So that's good.
Oh,
Thank you for being with us. Renee Dixon. Thank you, Renee, for being with us. How do you tell me more about what the future? You're taking a drink of water there, but what else is in store? I know you talked about different countries already and things like that, but
Well, a big part of it is we
what
need
do
to
you need
educate.
from us? Yeah.
Well, we need to educate, right? So it
Yeah.
is, having an opportunity like this to share. I like to always say we're not trying to be invisible, right? We're
Yeah.
trying to get out there, but it really is an opportunity to come into businesses. We're a unique organization. We're not supported by the individual disabilities, right? If you have autism or cancer or diabetes or stroke, you're going to go support those organizations, which is great. We want you to do that. They're doing amazing work. We don't get that kind of support, right? The individual support. So what we need support is we need support of organizations and businesses where we can partner with them. We come in like this, not like this, right?
Yeah.
We are about how can we help you understand, because everybody has a story.
Right.
Everybody in your company has a story. If you're a real estate agent and somebody says, I can't ride in your car because I can't be around a new car because it makes me sick, then you got to figure out how to do something different, right? But you don't. What we immediately jump to, oh, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. People get sick from cars or whatever. Why would they let cars go out there, right? It's that whole thing. Same. You talk about food allergies, but it's all this education. It's about even talking to somebody on a phone and you can't see them. It's invisible. How may I help you, right? Well, when they say I need this kind of special help, it's amazing. We jump to the conclusions immediately. Why? It's not a
Yeah.
matter of why. It's like, how may I help you?
How
Right.
can I help you? Yeah. Do you I have questions about things like, well, you may have had, let's just give it my dad for a second. I'm just gonna keep it's what I know, so I'll use it as an example. Here's your, you may be disabled from a stroke, and there might be something physical that shows, like an arm drop or something like that. But
Right.
you know, there were things that I just will still go back, and there were still things, so many things aside from just being blind, that people couldn't see. Um, he didn't have memory loss, but a lot of people, I'm thinking of people with strokes having things like memory loss, and incredible depression. Uh,
Right.
with stroke or no stroke, people have depression. Those, I don't know, are those is that an invisible disability?
Absolutely. Well, it's
It
even
feels
things
like
like
it's invisible. Yeah.
anxiety and phobias and addictions, all those things, um, because of the impact that they have on you, right? And
Yeah.
and how they I mean, think about it. We think, oh, it's just anxiety. I mean, anxiety is a big real thing, right? It
Yeah.
really impacts people, and so it's really understanding that aspect. And so it is those invisible things that people don't understand that I think that gets us more than anything, right? Because we can see. You're right. You may be able to see uh, the results of a stroke. I mean, I think of people that might get, let's say they were paralyzed, right? And so
Yeah.
you see them in a wheelchair, they don't have use of their legs. Okay, we get that. What you don't understand is all the things that go along with that paralyzation.
Yeah.
But the chronic pain, there's a whole host of other things that are impacted by that.
Chronic pain
They
is a
may
big
be
one.
awesome in a wheelchair, right? They could do amazing things in a wheelchair, but it's that it's those other there are other things that impact them uh, that we don't see, right? And it is PTSD. Well, what about PTSD? What
Uh,
about what
back
about
another one I'm thinking of.
aphasia?
Yeah.
A big thing about stroke, aphasia, right? It
Yep.
can be a big sign of stroke. So people are like, well, why are they talking so stupid? You know, and you want to finish their sentences and all these things. And you don't understand there's a neurological thing that can't be fixed by physiological things. You
Yeah.
can't go to a physical therapist to fix a brain issue necessarily.
Right.
You got to go
Uh,
to a neurolog, get neurological training and stuff.
yeah. And so let me ask you this. Do you have to have an official like doctor's diagnosis to get one of those cards?
No,
Or okay, because I know some people they're debilitated by back pain, neck pain,
yeah,
injuries.
yep.
There's so many things. I'm just, we get it. I
Yeah,
keep
well, here's the thing about it is
get it.
our the reason now in order to get the ones that are on the state IDs and stuff,
Yeah,
those do require a doctor's form and a signature in those
sure.
things, right? We didn't require it. It does say on there, hey, you agree that you need this because here's the philosophy is uh, disabilities having a disability is not you probably heard this. Oh, they just want attention, right? That's why they have they just want attention. Actually, the opposite happens when you have a disability. Everybody leaves you. You
Yeah.
don't get attention. And so the reality is our expectation that people would do this because they need it. And actually, if the person who was faking it, I know this is going to sound interesting, the person was faking it and they wanted this, there's no special benefit. You don't get like a discount. You don't get anything like that. But that person probably has an invisible, well, they probably have an invisible disability, right?
Yeah.
um, that goes along with that. So,
Yeah.
but
That's there.
it just says on the back, a person with this card has a disability and may need help.
And maybe help.
That's all it is. And
Yeah.
so,
Beautiful.
um, and I carry one with me when I go for a walk and stuff. I have a thing called benign positional vertigo, which it's calcium breaks off my inner ear, and I can be like out flat, right? It can lose my balance and everything. I carry one of these. I just throw it in my shorts when I go for a walk, and that way it's got my emergency contact and get a hold of my wife if they need to get a hold of somebody in case something happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have a medical alert on. Like, I
Oh,
don't
sure.
use
That's yeah.
medical with life-threatening food allergies, so, people are always like, "What is that on your wrist?" It's like I used to hide this actually, for fear I'm gonna ask you about this. I used to hide this for fear of people, you know, passing judgment on me. I felt like I was gonna get fired from work, things like that. I used to hide this in my pocket.
Well,
Actually, I had a necklace and I hid it.
that's back to
Really well.
that educational piece for businesses that we need your help on to help us get into your businesses. We speak at a lot of major organizations and companies around the world uh, because that reason we haven't made it safe for people to disclose at work, right?
Yeah.
50% of Americans have one chronic illness, right? So, I mean, that's every other person, right? So, but we haven't made it safe for them. And our goal is to make it safe, right? To say, if you've been working your job, why would you all of a sudden think that you can't do your job because you disclosed it, right? In fact, you should be able to do your job better now in some sense because you're going to get some help on some stuff that you couldn't do before. That's why you're disclosing it probably. Um, the point of this is you don't have to put this around your neck when you go into a store unless you want help at that store, right? You can, same with a driver's license. You
Yeah.
don't have to put it on the driver's license, but there are people that need that and want it on the driver's license because they need that extra little, it's a visible support. Like I said, it doesn't tell them what the disability is. It just gets the conversation going and
Right.
maybe de-escalates right off the bat, right?
Mhm. So do you have fundraisers and things like that? Is there a way to donate to you? Do people do
Yes.
that? Or
Yeah. So our big one is in October, but we can't wait till October. Let's just say the last 3 years, COVID has not been real good to us,
I
right? It's
get
been
it,
very,
yeah,
very difficult for us. But
sorry.
yeah, giveida.org,
Okay,
GIVE ida.org, or you can actually give IDA to 44321. Give IDA
okay,
44321. That's it, either way, but giveida.org. And it's we're going to be doing monthly what we call our Invisible Encourage podcasts. And so we have opportunities for people to sponsor those and sponsor throughout the whole year. So
good,
that's our biggest way. And this last year was our hardest year of sponsorships in a long time. So
really.
um,
So
and they're not very expensive, and you get huge exposure. We've got some amazing ambassadors that are part of the organization, and I shared with them that how we can give back because they have these great bios and links to all their amazing resources. And when you look up their names, they come up number one on Google, right? And that's the power of our brand and the power of Invisible Disabilities is we have the ability to do that. And we're always looking for great board members. We've got another opening on a board member slot. That's somebody who wants to get involved in that.
Yeah.
Best way to get involved is to share with your friends and family about the resources. They can come and learn about it,
Yeah, I
and then
love that.
get us into businesses, right? We'll come and speak online. Best way to do it, um, and you'll be changed. Everybody will go, oh my goodness, I didn't know.
Yeah, there's so many things. What about, like, what else aren't we talking about? I feel like there's something that we aren't talking about that I can't quite figure out what it is. It's like, wait a minute, I feel like when I hang up and be like, well, I should have asked him that. What
Well,
is
we'll
it?
do a big event in October as well, Invisible Disabilities Week. It'll be our 10th annual Invisible Disabilities Week this year too.
Yeah,
So it's like I said, we're back to
just want to make
we
sure.
need we're an encouragement, awareness, and education. We need you to help make people aware that we exist. And no, people who have a disability find us, right? A lot of them find us. It's really the people that I say are passionate for helping others. That's what we need to find, right? And really
Yeah,
help make a difference in their lives.
yeah,
Because once you start doing that, once you start giving back, you know, um, to me, hope is not hope for a cure. A lot of illnesses are chronic, they're rare, they're hard to, disabilities, you can't just solve it. But what is hope? With somebody who's living with something difficult, help somebody else along
right.
their journey. That to me is amazing hope. That's what's great hope.
Make an impact. Yep. Tell us about Sherry a little bit more. H- How's
Yeah, so
she?
my wife's just incredible. I mean, life has been very tough for her. She's been, disabled for 30 years, been unable to work. You talked about back pain. That's one of her newest things is back pain on top of PTSD and MS and Lyme disease and all these other things. I mean, she's now relegated to using her phone for everything. She can't sit at a computer desk anymore. Hurts too much. Um, and laying down's hard. I mean, it's just a constant up and down. But I'll tell you, this is what one of her passions is our goats. This is a book we wrote called "The Adventures of Pumpkin and Cookie," and these are real life goats, by the way. And so she does that. They're her therapy. They will come right up. They snuggle with her. We have Cookie passed away. That was the name of the book, Pumpkin and Cookie. But we have Java now, and they just rolled 100 million views of their Giphies. And so if you go to Giphy, you just put in Goata,
I can write this down. Sorry.
Goatta, yeah, Goatta, BeMe.com. Go to BeMe, Gota, BeMe. That's their website. It'll cheer you up. I mean, I put one on my LinkedIn recently, the little video that we let them in the house, which is pretty rare that we ever let them in the house, but I let them in the house because it was so cold. And she fed him some fresh vegetables. And she made a little video of it. So it's
Aw, so
she's
cute.
highly talented and creative, but every day for her is just
Yeah. What's
I
the inside? Show me the inside of that book. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tell her all of our love to Sherry. What's the inside look like?
oh yeah, she did all the else. This took her
I
6 months.
know. I
It's incredible.
can she? Wow.
Yeah, so these are photographs, and then she did the artwork to the photograph. And what's really cool about this book, it's on Amazon. It's been out since 2014 or 15, I think. But it's all about Cookie doesn't want to be a goat. Cookie wants to be somebody other than themselves. And in the end, Pumpkin says you need to be the best you can be. This is you, best ever you,
Yes,
right?
that's every
But
union.
and it talks about children too. Don't try to be somebody else. Be you,
Yeah,
right? And so that's what this book's about. And it's a amazing little children's book. And I published it for her, and
I love it.
it's on Amazon. And so we just, you know, we're about bringing joy to people's lives, right? In the midst of very difficult things, and every day, like I said, is a really tough journey for what she's going through. And people will say, "Well, what's her diagnosis?" And I'm like, "She's been in stage 4 for two decades, right, or 3 decades." I mean, if you want to look at it that way, right? And so we just make the most of every day.
What word do you think she would pick? Did you ask her for this? Would she pick care? Everything that's coming to mind, like perseverance, perseverance, perseverance. We talked about that, but what word
Well,
would
she
she
calls
pick?
herself a warrior. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's a warrior. My dad was the ICU warrior. That was his nickname. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, he rang that bell a bunch of times getting out of there.
I don't know how she makes it through any day, to be honest, Elizabeth. It just amazes me every day. But she's incredible. I mean, we've been married over 28 years. So,
Yeah.
um,
Somebody just typed in, I didn't know there was a book about goats.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, we got
they have,
it.
they have a whole yeah,
Yeah,
they're incredible.
yeah.
They're good. It's on my bio too, even. So if people go to Invisible Disabilities and go look up my bio, they'll find the little link to our goats. They're just, and my wife's stories available at sherryconnell.com.
Okay.
and Sherri, Connell.com. And it's really, you
Connell.
know, it's
Connell.
for Connell.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, but it's such an honor, Elizabeth, and everybody has a story. And like I said, every day somebody says something they think they're saying it's nice, and it doesn't come across that way. And we're just trying to help them understand that it's real. Like I said, back to Care in Motion. Care in Motion is about listening, believing, and supporting. And so it's a listen first. Take time to listen first. Believe what people say. Don't disregard what they say. They just share with you their heart. And then provide support as needed if they need it. And they'll tell you how they need it, right? Don't think you know how to do it. Ask them. Hey, is there something I can help you with? Can I bring you lunch once a month? I mean, seriously, you could change somebody's life by just doing that and
Yeah.
let them know that they exist, right?
Yeah.
We play Yahtzee over Zoom right now because we've been isolated for over 3 years. Just that opportunity to spend time with people.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I don't know if my husband wants me to say this or not, but I'm saying it. Anyway, 10 plus years ago now, he became there's a lot of tens here for some reason, but he became the 10th person in the state of Maine to have both hips replaced at the same time.
Wow.
So both a double hip replacement, the 10th one done in the state of Maine years ago. And you can't tell anything's wrong. There's no limp. There's no, he was
Sure.
back on the baseball field as quick as he could get there with his walker and everything. But even now he does everything normal. But go through an airport and
Yeah.
he needs one of those cards because you go through an airport, you set everything off, and instantly people gather. And no one has any idea why. And he has to say, my hips have been replaced. And here, look at your look at your X-ray. Yeah, exactly. And but it's delayed us many, many times before with people not believing and things like that. And he's like, I mean, I can think of one instance where people went pretty crazy. He set everything off and he's like, no, 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 my hips have been replaced. And people didn't believe him because they looked at him and they're like, eh, you know,
Exactly right. Well, and so we'll always be here. Our mission will always be here about encouraging, educating, connecting. It's I wish it was one of those missions you could like fulfill and be done.
I don't think so. I think you're
But
gonna
but it won't
constantly
be.
have work to do. Yeah,
Lots
and
of
I
work
think
to
it feels to me like you're on the cusp of really needing a lot of people to show up for you and help you
Well,
move to scale.
it's incredible what we've done to be here still 27 years later is
Yeah,
amazing. But that's because we have to be.
yeah,
That's the way I look at it. I have to be doing what I'm doing. We have to be changing people's lives and letting people know that it's real, right?
yeah, very
Believing.
real. All right, come back one more time to care, what that means. I know you said it like a
Yeah,
couple times.
yeah,
Yeah, one more time.
care in motion. That's listening, listen, believe, support. That's our theme this year for 2023.
Okay, website one more time.
Invisibledisabilities.org, and we're on all social media.
Hold the
Um,
book up. Hold the book up one more time.
yeah, and definitely, but you look good. It's on Amazon, on Kindle, and if you go to our website, people will buy, like 5 or 25 of them or whatever, and they give them to their friends and family. And we watched relationships changed.
Yeah, and now goats.
Oh yeah, the Adventures of Pumpkin.
Go through everything
Yeah,
one
the
more.
Adventures of Pumpkin and Cookie.
There you go. There's your goat again, Renee. That's so cute. All right. Love to Sherri. Thank you for all you do. Love to you as well. I'm
Thank
very
you.
grateful for you saying yes and being here. Sorry I destroyed your name.
No, you
And
did
all
destroy
good.
it.
Yeah, I heard it both ways, and I forgot to ask because we had 15 minutes ahead of time too. I should have asked, but anyway, I
Oh,
thought
that's my fault anyway.
but anyway, all right, lots of love. Thank you so much. We owe a very special thank you to Brian Esposito for
Yes.
connecting us. Brian, all you do, you're such an amazing human being. All you do, isn't he just cool? Yeah. You're
Yeah.
just gonna leave on Brian. All right, goodbye, everybody. Thank you, Brian. All right, thank you, Wayne. Take care.
Okay. Bye bye.